Welcome back, Warriors. Welcome back to another episode. Before we get into it, make sure you're sharing this podcast. Make sure you're sharing the video. Make sure you're commenting. Turn on your notifications for this YouTube channel so we can get to 500. The goal is still to get to 500. I think I haven't mentioned it in about a couple of weeks or so, but that's still the goal. We still want to get to 500. So make sure you're sharing, liking, commenting, and make sure you turn on your notifications. We got a great show for you today. It is 2024 and it is school time. It is time for the school year. Are you doing private schools? Are you doing public schools? Are you doing homeschooling? Are you even going to school? Let's jump into the show. Welcome back, Warriors. Welcome back to the Warriors Vision Podcast. I am your host, Brian Sells, also known as The Warrior. How you guys doing? It is a fantastic Wednesday in the month of August in the year of 2024. I'm excited to be in front of you guys again, in front of you Warriors again for another episode. As you see, we're on episode 111 CXI 111 last episode we did 110, and we went ahead and did the crossover to our total amount of episodes that we have done throughout this whole time. So we are at 111 episodes. So that's a good milestone for doing this for about 3 years or so. 3 years or so, I believe. Well, 4 years or somewhere around there. Still, we got episodes out there, and there's a lot of good episodes in the catalog from different seasons that we have done. So you should definitely go check those out. But episode 111, as you see the title, School Year 2024. And man, I'm pretty sure since 2020, it has been a rough road for many parents that have been sending their kids to school, trying to figure out what can they do, what should they do, how should they do it, when should they do it, does it even matter? All those things, right? It has been a rough one, and a rough one. And with it being this year, 2024, as we've seen the decline of the public schools and just the decline in society, period, it just makes you wonder, is it even worth it to send your kids to a public school? Like, if you're an honest parent, you're looking at the decline of society and all the things that's going on, where we don't even have a clear definition of what a woman is. You have these people that are judges, and they can't tell you what a clear definition of a woman is. So, and then basically we have a circus that's been going on since 2020, and there's a grab for your children's life. The state wants to control, or wants to allow your children to be able to do whatever and take your voice, your say so away, because they feel like they are the better parent for your child, and they know what's best for your child, mentally and physically. They know what's best for your child. So, it is a crazy world out there, and I am so glad I don't have to even come to that crossroad of trying to figure out what are we going to do, right? I would definitely say that I am blessed in that situation, that I didn't have to, that we didn't have to sit down and figure out what we was going to do when 2020 happened. And we've covered this a little bit. We've covered this a little bit in previous episodes. But when 2020 happened, I was fortunate to be able to be at home after being retired by the Army. I was fortunate to be able to be at home, and 2020 happened, and kids were, told to stay home. And when they did that, and I was able to see everything that was happening and how the George Floyd thing was having people act crazy and all these other things, just a snowball effect. I was like, you know what? I want no parts. I want no parts. And then it opened my eyes to what my son was actually learning in school and what he wasn't actually learning in school and what he was actually doing in school, right? It opened my eyes to those things because you never know what your child is doing at school. You can go to the PTAs or the parents, get a call from the teacher or whatever the case may be, or even get a letter from the teacher, and they write down the different things that may the child may be struggling with or whatever the case may be, but you don't actually know because then you ask your child what's going on, and then they give you these sob stories, and a part of you want to believe your child because you don't want to believe a stranger. The teacher could be crazy, whatever the case may be. And then you have a conversation with the teacher, and they may be right on some things, and you just you're just in a pickle. But I'm so happy, and I'm so glad that 2020 happened, and I didn't have to sit there and go back and forth about what I'm going to do with my son and with his impending school year. The first year, I believe, was in Virginia Beach. He actually ended up not going to school, but they was doing online school. So my bad. Was doing online schooling, and he had to go. We had to go pick up a computer and set him up doing all of that. And they was gonna have these kids in front of the computer for about, I think, 8 or 9 hours. It's like, wow, that's a long time. That's a long, and it was. His eyes started to hurt. He started getting a headache. Um, and that could have just been him not wanting to do so, or whatever the case may be. Because I would say now, we after we dumped that school program and we put him in a homeschooling program, I would say that he was still in front of the computer. He would start about 7 o'clock and get done around 2. So yeah. But he had breaks. He had nice, good breaks. We would go on a walk, about a mile or two walk, about a mile and a half, I say, every day, just to get him outside, get him some fresh air, go on a walk, and come back and get back into school and be done. And then he'll go and do his thing. But again, after 2 o'clock, he would be back on the screen because he was playing the game. So was it really the computer messing with his eyes, or was he just not really wanting to do the homeschooling on the computer? But that's what it was. We ended up moving to Alabama, continuing the homeschooling program. We had this one program that we picked up, or that we found in Virginia Beach, and we were still doing the same thing. And then actually, he went to school for 1 year, right? So after homeschooling him, uh, in Virginia Beach, we moved to Alabama. He ended up going to school for 1 year. He went to school for 1 year in this little school, and the teachers were like, he is way ahead. And to hear that from the teachers, right? I was amazed because so many times when he was going to school, he was so far behind. He didn't like reading. He didn't like doing any of that stuff. His grades were atrocious. Atrocious. Spelling, all of that was just so bad. But after doing homeschooling for 1 year and then putting him in school, or a year and a half, and then putting him in school, he was like excelling. The teacher was like, wow, he's so far ahead, and all this good stuff. I was like, okay. And then as he was going throughout the school year, as the school year continued, before we moved, as the school year continued, there was a drop off. And the drop off was pretty drastic. There was that now there was complaints of him being talkative and not paying attention, not really focusing on his assignments. All these things, all these bad things started reoccurring, right? So, we had the conversation. We talked and talked, and was trying to get him to get back in line, but because he was at school and being influenced and just wanting to be cool or whatever the case may be, whatever it was, he was doing that again. So then we end up moving, get to a new house. We was like, you know what? We read the reviews, or we heard the locals. We heard the locals talk bad about the schools that they were sending their kids to. And then um, just getting a feel for the area. I was like, you know what? And then remembering what he did in school, I was like, you know what? Let's just no, he's not going to school. He's not going to school. He's gonna stay home and he's gonna do homeschooling. And that was rough for him. He really liked going to school because it was a social gathering to him. It was being able to be with kids his age and be able to talk about the things they were talking about, whatever it was. That's what was important to him, right? But me being a parent, because I'm the parent and I know what's best for him, right? Um, I decided that it was best for him to be homeschooled so that he can get back on the right path and start excelling the way I know he could. And it took him a while to do so because he just being rebellious, not just being rebellious and lazy, just didn't want to do it. And then uh, and after so many talks and so many talks and so many talks and finally got into church and God praying and God dealing with him, and he finally just, it finally just clicked, and he's rocking it out. He's doing very good in homeschooling. His grades are better. His math is better. Reading is better. I say comprehension is better. All these things are much better. Are much better. So, if I was to, try to persuade a parent on homeschooling, I would definitely say that homeschooling is better than public schooling because of the ability to raise your child, which is it's your child. You know what that child is good at. You know what that child may have some issues in behavior wise and all that. You know your child. So why not fix it? Why not be the parent or be the adult that can fix those issues and put your child back on the right path to be successful instead of just sending them to the public school just so that you know I'm not saying that all parents, but most parents see their kids as a burden, um, as something that's just eating up all their food from summertime, and they tired of feeding their children or whatever the case may be. All these negative things, they don't want to deal with their children, so they send them off to the schools so the schools can deal with them. Just these things, which is ridiculous because you're the parent of that child. That child is your responsibility. And when we were sending him to school for 8 hours of the day, not realizing that he was being influenced for 8 hours of the day by so many different kids, by so many different grown-ups, all these things, when the foundation that I had created for him was for me to be his role model, for me to be his um, influencer, for me to be guiding him through life. I was sending him to school, and those things were being pushed to the back. Those things were being casted away because the influence of the smaller young people, right, was much heavier than what I was saying because he wanted to fit in with their groups, with their crowds. He wanted to, just wanted to be one of the kids in school. And when we look at society today in 2024, that is dangerous. It's dangerous with all the things that's going on in our society, the perversion, the just it is a dangerous game to be playing with your child's life. You're gonna send think about it. You're gonna send your child to school for 8 hours of the day, so then they get home. You're with them for maybe an hour because you probably get off at 5, 6 or so. Then you eat, and then your child goes to bed about 8 or 9. They're doing homework or whatever. You're trying to relax and spend time with your spouse or whatever the case may be. You get 3 hours. Let's say you get 3 hours with your child, right? And how many of us were actually engaged with our children for those 3 hours? How many of us were actually engaged with our child for those 3 hours, that we were able to instill good things, that we were able to ask them uh, how their day actually went, know what was actually being said, and make sure that we can look them and see if there's anything, creeping inside of them. uh, just how many of us were actually engaged with our children? And then if you have multiple children, right? If you have multiple children in school, you've got 3 kids in school, and now they're all around the same age, and you only have 3 or 4 hours. How are you splitting that time up? So now you have 30 minutes with each child, or somewhere around there, 30, 45 minutes to really. And then what about your spouse? Some my somewhere there's going to be something's going to be lacking. Something's going to be sacrificed, right? So why not sacrifice whatever you got going on to make sure that your child is set up for a better future, right? So that their minds are not being attacked constantly 24/7. So that they're especially, and especially for the Christians out there, especially if you're a Christian and you're reading the Word and you're going to church, and you should know the times that we're in. Especially if you're a Christian and you're sending your child into those environments. You may be saying, "Well, all I can do is pray for them." Yeah, you can pray for them. You can pray for them, and let the chips fall where they may fall, or or you can sacrifice and pull your kids out of that school, pull them out of the system, because it's getting too corrupt. It's getting out of hand. There's only so much you can do in a system that's not made for you. It's only so much you can do. It's only so much you can do. You can make excuses all you want, but when it comes down to it, you are responsible for that child. You are responsible for rearing them up in the way they should go. I know the Bible says that we should be training them day and night in the Word of God. Are we putting more focus on the school, the social gatherings at these worldly schools? And you maybe you send your child to a public school. I mean, private school, where it's a Christian based private school. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. But to the ones that sending them to these public schools, where they just literally allowing them to teach and say whatever they want to say and do. California, a couple weeks ago, signed in place that schools don't have to notify the parents when a child feels like it is like if a boy told one of the teachers, "You know what, I feel like I'm a girl today," that teacher doesn't have to inform you about that. They can start giving that kid medicine to start transitioning to a girl, and you won't know about it, because the child's not going to tell you. The teacher's not going to tell you. Like, these things are happening. The church is so caught up in the political garbage, but ignoring what's happening in their own school systems. And I'm gonna pull it back because that's a whole another topic for a whole nother time. But I really, um, I really want to see more people pulling their kids out of these schools and homeschooling their kids. Don't worry about the social gathering or the social whatever garbage they be telling you about. It's not real. My son thrives. He's fine. He's not weird around people or anything like that. He is fine. What about football and basketball? Who cares? 1 or 2% of people, or probably even less than that, are going to make it to the league anyway. He's not 6'5". He's not 6'2", or he's not any of those things. You're doing the what ifs just so you can have an excuse for yourself. And I almost said the S word, not that word, but the S word, S fish. It's almost that. And you may be, well, you went to the army and got retired, and you were able to do that. You're right. What would I have done if I had a real job and these things were going on? I don't know. I don't know. I hope something in me would have clicked and said, you know what? They're trying to mash your kids. Um, well, I think I would have been like, okay, I would have told my wife, she's done working. I'm gonna work. You stay home and do the homeschooling thing. I think that's what I would have done. Because when 2020 happened, there was a shift in my mindset. Everything shifted. So I believe that shift would have been the same. I would have shut everything down. I would have pulled them out of school, and then we would not have been participating in these circus acts that's going on right now. These clown sessions, right? Um, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. So I believe that my mindset would have shifted, and I would have done the same thing that I'm doing right now. Would it have taken me some time? I don't know. I think it would have been immediate. I honestly think it would have been immediate. It would have happened just like that. Because the mind shift was so it was so quick. It wasn't like things are getting. No, it was all right. It's time to start growing food. Let's leave the whole beach idea behind us, and we got to start growing food. It was just like that. I didn't wait. It was we got to do this now. So I'm pretty sure I would have went that route. I would have did that. But I'm gonna give you some reasons why I think homeschooling. Let me see where we at. Homeschooling is fantastic. So we had 24 minutes. We good. So bonding between parent and child, and I'm gonna say off the top, it was rough at the beginning of homeschooling. It was very rough. Um, I had to gain patience. I had to learn patience. I asked God for patience, and the test came with my son being on the he was the test. He was the test booklet for patience, and as that went on, it got better. He would have some breakdowns, and I would just talk it out with him. I would talk it out and explain to him how or why this was important for him to be doing, why he needed to be doing it this way, why he shouldn't be down on himself or whatever the case may be. Though we had real bonding moments. He was doing a lot of emotional breakdowns, and we had real bonding moments. And I wouldn't change any of that. I wouldn't change any of that because I was able to pour into him when he was feeling like this is dumb or he's not good enough or he's not smart enough. When he was comparing himself to other kids or whatever the case may be, I was pouring into him instead of someone else pouring into him and pouring in negative things. You know, trying to encourage him to see himself as a jellyfish. Mm. Um, I control what's being taught. No one's coming in and telling me what I need to be teaching them. I control what is being taught. I get to highlight what's real and what's not real. And a lot of things that I learned when I was in school, I have learned that a lot of that stuff is a lie. A lot of wars was built on lies. So, since I know this, I can pick and choose what's important. And what's important right now is being able to having the ability to read, doing math, the ability to write, and some science stuff. Outside of that, we pick and choose with the extra stuff. But those three things are important. The pace of learning. It took him a while to get his math down. It took him a while to really grab on to math and understand what he was doing. And we spent hours on math. Hours on math. And now he's doing a lot better. He's doing a lot better. But we spend hours on math. So that ability to slow it down and allow him to take his time to figure out what he's doing and what he's learning is big. Kids don't get that time. I'm talking hours. Kids don't get that. Kids get like 45 minutes in a class, and then you have a teacher that's up who's trying to teach maybe 20 students, 20, 25 students, maybe even more in some of the bigger cities. How? How? And they're human, right? So they probably frustrated. I was getting bothered by my one son. 25 students. 25. Come on. How many people out there could teach a class? I don't care what I don't I don't care that you're saying that they went to school and they're educated in this. No, 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 no. No human. No human. I've seen drill sergeants almost snap dealing with, you know, soldiers that was coming into the army because of the things that they almost lost their minds and lost their ranks dealing with some of the recruits. And they had to be restrained. And then, drill sergeants can say whatever they want to say. They just can't be physical. Teachers can't do that. Well, I don't know about now. I don't know. You got teachers fighting kids, kids fighting teachers. It's the wild, wild west out there. Um, Peer pressure. There's no peer pressure. He is sitting there learning at his own pace. He's doing his own things. No one's encouraging him to do anything stupid, to act a fool. No one's shawning him for reading and knowing words. None of that nonsense. Protecting from negative influences. That is huge. Not bullies. Protecting him from negative influences. That is huge. The only voice he is hearing is my voice. The only guidance he is getting is me. I'm his example. I'm his role model. I'm his influencer. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. Um, I would say that his mom was doing some of his grading, but she didn't want to do it anymore because when he first was doing it, she felt bad for giving him bad grades. So I was like, you can't you can't feel bad. I'll take over that. You can't feel bad. He has to learn how to do better. He has to do better, and he definitely has done better. What's another one? Um, we what's another one? Freedom, just the ability to be flexible and have that freedom to be like, oh, okay, you know what are they celebrating in school right now? Whatever they celebrating, all right, what they got, 3 days off, okay. We ain't gonna take these days off, but we'll the next holiday or whatever it is, whatever we got coming up, just take a week off. Birthdays, he gets a week off, week and a half off or something like that. I think we did Hanukkah. He had 2 weeks off for Hanukkah. We did the New Year. I don't think he had any time off for New Year. I think grandparents came down. I think he had a week off for that. Uh, some days we was doing a food drive at our church. So for I think for about 3 months he was doing that. So he didn't have school on those days. Just little things like that. The flexibility to do whatever we wanted to do, as long as he got his days in for school, it was fine. And that was good. That was good. Be able to be at home, finish up school, be able to go outside. And we live out here in the sticks. So just that freedom to be able to move at your own pace, learn at your own pace, and be at home in your own environment is fantastic. There's no negatives to this homeschooling thing, and I highly recommend that you give it a try. Uh, you may be saying, well, I got this job, and what I'm saying is that your child's life depends on it. Their mental, their spiritual, um, mm, especially if you're a Christian. If you're a Christian and you know this, it depends on it. Spiritual warfare is real. It is real, and our kids are being attacked. They're being attacked. So no matter how you try to cut it and make it sound, you need to do some evaluating. What's important? You are responsible for these young lives. Is your desires and wants of these material things more important than raising up the kid that's supposed to be carrying on your name, that's supposed to be mimicking you, that you're supposed to be responsible for? Are those things that you desire more important than your family? Ugh. Some of us don't have that type of faith, I guess, that the Lord will provide. Well, we gotta work too. You do. You don't have. Do you have to work that job where you're working 60 hours a week and you don't know what's going on in your school's life? I mean, your child's life at school. You don't know what things are constantly attacking them mentally, emotionally. You don't know who's influencing them. That's a dangerous game to play, especially in 2024. Now, 1980, 1960s, or whatever the case may be, way back in the day, different. But in 2024, where we have grown men in the street dancing naked in front of people, come on now, this is different. This is different, and I'm gonna leave it at that. This is 2024 is different, and it's only gonna get worse from here. So if you haven't decided this year what you're gonna do, and your kids are already in school, all right, next year, try to figure out, start thinking about it now. How can you, what can you do? How can you make this work where you can have your kids at home and you being their their uh their teacher? You're guiding them. You're setting them up to be successful in their life, in their whatever they're wanting to do. The most important thing, from my understanding, what Matthew said was what Jesus said: "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these other things will be added unto you." We've nope. I'm not even. I'm not. I'm gonna jump off that and just homeschool. I'm telling you right now, it's a fantastic thing to do. It's a fantastic thing to do. So let's go ahead and jump into these contacts. Follow us at Warriors underscore collection underscore. Follow us at the network page, Warriors underscore collection underscore network. YouTube channel, youtube.com/Warriors Collection Network. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're trying to get to 500. Please help us out. Help us out. Help us out. Follow us on Twitter, See Through It One. Follow us on TikTok, the Warriors Collection brand. The audio side, if you're wanting to catch this on the audio, if you're trying to catch all the podcasts on the audio side, check us out on Apple, Spotify, iHeart Podcast, and Amazon Music. I think it's Audible. They keep changing it on me. I think it's music though, or Amazon Audible. It's one of the two. But just type in the Warriors Vision podcast, and it will definitely take you there, because there is no other podcast that's with this title. So with that being said, Warriors, I hope that this was insightful. I hope that it was thought provoking. I hope that things that I was saying, that it made you think. It made you be like, if I maybe I heard this before from someone else. Maybe I've always wondered about this homeschooling thing, but I wasn't comfortable with, doing it myself. Can I do it? I'm telling you right now, you can. I thought the same thing because I haven't been to school in so long, but you definitely can. It's a learning experience for both. It's a bonding experience for both. You really get to learn who your child is and watch them grow. I'm telling you, when your children are going to school for 8 hours of the day for the however many months they're going to school for, they're growing up so much, experiencing so many things. And you remember when you was in school, what were you experiencing that you didn't tell your parents? What did you keep from them? We some people say I've always told my parents all things. I'm not gonna say that. I didn't do that. What were you doing that you didn't let your parents in on? And some people had those relations with their parents where, they was drinking with them. They was partying with them. It was just an open parent son daughter relationship like that, whatever the case may be. But if you was a Christian and you was going to school and your parents were, in church, what were you keeping from your parents that you was experiencing, right? Those things. Those things. And now it's 2024. It's 2024. What are your children seeing? What are they hearing? What are they experiencing? For 8 hours of the day, 5 days a week, for August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Let's say June. 11 months. 11 months. And you get to spend 3-4 hours with them, maybe, through the every day after school. And then the weekend, they out doing whatever. Again, it's a dangerous game to play. As the clock counts down. 2024. So with that being said, Warriors, again, think about it, come up with a plan, and make it happen. If you're on the fence, get off the fence. Put it in action and make it happen. You are responsible for your kids. Not the teachers, not the school district. None of those people are. You are. That's just the way it is. Just the way it is. So level up, train harder, be an asset. Pray more, read often, be the light that God is calling you to be. This is the Warrior Vision Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Sells, and I will talk to you again. Oh, yeah. Brian Sells, also known as the Warrior. And I will talk to you again later. Warrior out.